This is Shadowseer, London. Shadowseer Book 1, by Morgan Rice. Narrated by Kevin E. Green. Chapter 1. Inspector Sebastian Pinsley stood on St. George's Field as his handsome carriage left, trying to think of an excuse to avoid going into the building that stood across from him. There were some places that no sane man wanted to set foot in. Even a little way from the Thames, the stink of it caught his nostrils, although, with the city as it was at the moment, it was hard to tell the difference. Barges sat motionless in the distance, though even this early in the morning there were vendors out in the broad square, flanked by buildings. Pinsley observed them as he observed the rest of the world, making sure that he understood what each thing was about before moving on to the next. He reached into his waistcoat and checked his pocket-watch. 5 in the morning. Far too early to be about. It was certainly too early to be heading into the square-built, high-windowed building that sat before him. Bedlam. Technically it was the Bethlehem Royal Hospital for the Insane, but no one Pinsley knew used that name. It was always Bedlam. It was a name that would conjure fear in anyone, given its history, and Pinsley felt a faint trickle of that fear now. The so-called hospital had once been a byword for the worst of madhouses. They said it had improved since they'd torn down the old building in '15, but still, the mere sight of the place made him shudder. It took Pinsley a moment to realise what it was about the building that threatened him so much. A place like this was the antithesis of the rationality and order he tried to bring to the world. His aunt had ended her days in a place like this. Although it was a small thing compared to some of the losses in his life, the thought of it was still nearly too much. Inspector Pinsley tightened his dark great-coat around the slenderness of his frame, and removed his top hat in preparation to make his entrance. He was unshaven today, so that stubble showed between the spaces of his dark mutton chops, making him seem a little older than his 45 years. He resolved to return home, or at least to his club, if he could, before he made his way to the station. An inspector should set an example for his men. He strode to the door with the crisp gait that came from military habit, rapped twice upon the knocker and waited in stillness, the better to hide his nerves at approaching this place. The man who opened the door was portly and dressed in the simple clothes of one of the keepers who would work under the warden. The hallway behind him was dusty with lack of care, wood-panelled and stone-floored. A portrait of Queen Victoria sat above the desk there, as if its presence would lend the place a grandeur that the rest did not.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?